Spoilers! Spoilers! What's up, guys? Pencil here, and here we are to do a quick spoiler discussion for chapter 241 of Jujutsu Kaisen, which is known as, I don't know, the comedian's backside. I have no idea what the chapter's called. But, big booty butt cheeks. There really isn't much to talk about this chapter, mainly because most of it's untranslated. I do think I'm going to be yapping for a little bit. And by a little bit, you know that means at least 30 minutes where I come from. So let's not waste any more time and let's hop right into it. What's up, guys? All here. Fun facts. I have it on me. I keep it on me at all times. And another fun fact, you ever been sad? You ever been lonely? You ever been wondering about how you can pursue your passions in such a way that other people can understand them? Have you ever tried to? Thought to show who you are in a way that you believe is the best way to do so. Try to express yourself in every means and metric that you possibly could. Put everything, your heart of hearts, your soul, your very being, into the efforts of trying to make it so that people can understand you. You've tried everything. You've dedicated yourself. You've worked with other people. You've studied, you've researched, you've evolved, you've devolved. You've done everything in your power to try to make it so that other people can understand you. And at the end of it all, you still fail. No matter what you do, no matter how hard you try, no matter how hard you work, in the end, people leave you. They abandon you. They leave you to rot and suffer, as all you wanted was to make human connections. But unfortunately, your humanity just wasn't valued by those people. Your desire for connection just wasn't valued by those people. In the end, the only thing they may have valued you for, the only value you may have brought, was a temporary, slight whiff of some sort of connection that they quickly got tired of. Have you ever felt like that before? That despair, the sadness that sits deep in the core of your soul when you realize that no matter how hard you try, it seems like nothing works. You're just destined to fail. Have you ever felt that way? You ever thought about what would happen if you could go back in time and talk to the version of you that decided that this was your passion? This was what you wanted to dedicate your heart, your mind, your soul, your flesh, everything to. And look them dead in the eyes and answer what you do now. And see how they feel about it. Have you ever wondered that, ever wanted that? What would you say? What would you do? Have you met your goals? Have you walked down the path you desired? Or has life in its infinite, ever non-ending, winding path that it's walked down, has it left you in the dark? Because honestly, that's what this entire chapter is about. Now, notably, I will admit, I still actually need to record the... Because I just couldn't find like a solid time block to sit down, because that review is going to be a hot minute. Hopefully I can find a way to make that drop relatively soon before this chapter gets translated, so I don't fall too far behind. But a lot of y'all in the spoiler discussion for chapter 240 brought up a fantastic point. Pencil Man, you were being a hypocrite. And in that I was. I will wholeheartedly admit I was being a hypocrite. I kind of lost sight of who I was. I gave into the darkness. Me that was itching, scratching, and feeding for Itadori Yuji to actually do something. I was lost in the shadow, lost in darkness, lost in my own expectations. This guy couldn't appreciate the beauty that was chapter 240. The character work, the writing, the interactions, the dynamics. Oh, so beautiful. I'll make a whole proper review for that soon enough. But this chapter is very specifically character work. And honestly, one of my favorite things that Gege does, especially one of the reasons I'm so impressed with Gege and why JJK is most likely, I always say most likely, what is its competition? It used to be MHA. But I don't know, I've been wishy-washy a lot with recent MHA, even if I can accept a lot of the choices recent MHA has made. I mean, Dr. Stone used to compete, but I need to reread the whole thing and then make an actual proper opinion on the ending of Dr. Stone. But that's over. I mean, I love Record of Ragnarok, but it's just two fundamentally different series. Ironically enough, they're very similar, yet two fundamentally different series. Record of Ragnarok and JJK. So they may be fighting for my top spot, but it's for two entirely different means and formats. One's a continuing, ever-present story that's very specifically centered around fighting, or one is all fighting with some sort of overlapping as a present story. Like, it all takes place in the same room, essentially. All the fights, all the battles, they all take place in the same place, while Jujutsu Kaisen is more spread out. But I'm trying to think, what other series? I like Sakamoto Days a lot, but in terms of character work, and I appreciate Sakamoto Days' character work too, Undead Unluck is actually low-key kind of fighting for a top spot now, especially in the recent manga. As a person who picked up Undead Unluck when it first started coming out, fell off the wagon a little bit, came back a few years later, really read it, really started to get into it, and I was super into it right now. Undead Unluck may be competing. But the reason I bring all this up is because for such a short and succinct series, Gege does a fantastic job of building in character work to his characters. I know it sounds so stupid, but like building character work into his story. This chapter, 241, is essentially a introspection on Takaba and the struggle of the human condition. Notably, I think I have a general idea of how I like to express myself. Like, shock horror, I sit down in front of a camera, in front of a microphone, and record my thoughts for you to experience. That's how I usually put myself out into the world, talk about things, enjoy things. That's how I express myself. But notably, this is a form of expression that is not necessarily one that, I guess it's weird that I can say I can't be bad at it, but I guess technically I could be bad. I don't know. What I mean is, like, there's no, like, constant metric that I need to consistently compare myself to other than myself. Like, sure, I could compare myself to other content creators, but, like, I don't know, my content's weird. It is just generally weird in comparison to a lot of content creators within my very similar field. So thusly, most form of comparison that I have is to myself, and whatever success I make is like, oh, fantastic. The fact that even a single person watching my video makes me more happy than you could know. But with that being the case, the counterbalance of that, the counterbalance that's revealed within this chapter for Takaba, is the fact that he's been wanting to do comedy. Been wanting to do comedy. It's something that he's wanted ever since he was super duper young. But unlike me, someone who likes doing content creation, wants to make content creation his full-time job, and is more than willing to dedicate all the time necessary to do that, it still isn't necessarily my current main force. It isn't something that I kind of, well, no, that's the thing. I do dedicate a lot. Like, oof, I dedicate a lot. But in terms of, like, it wouldn't, how do I word this? I love content creation. It is something that I take great joy in, and it brings me a whole ton of fun, passion, energy whenever I do it. And to a degree, I would say it is pretty much my life. More people know me as that guy with a TikTok, ironically enough, or that guy with a pencil than more people that I've ever met. I don't think I've met 1,000 people, like in person, like held a conversation with 1,000 people. That's never happened before. So a lot of people know me as this more than they know me as anybody else. And that's good for me. And I appreciate that. But with Takaba, comedy was his everything from the start. I only recently got on content creation. I only recently got on serious content creation within, like, arguably this year. Like, I've been trying to ramp it up, be more and more consistent, try to take more and more care of it because I want to create better and better stuff for y'all. But Takaba, as we see in the chapter, he's been doing it since he was a youngin', a youth, a big old youth, and he's been unable to. And that struggle is something that's really, really interesting. It's a kind of subject you wouldn't necessarily think would be tackled in JJK, specifically because of how seemingly disconnected it is from the world of sorcery, right? Like, from as early as chapter 1, we were delved in, locked in, tapped into the world of sorcery. And sure, failure still exists within the world of sorcery, but typically when you fail in the world of Jujutsu, that's it. You fell, and thusly there's nothing you can do. It happens from people as weak as Haruta to people as strong as Gojo. Gojo failed. He's now on the ground. But where people may be able to find acceptance or hope or relief in Jujutsu through their failure, as was recently highlighted at the end of Sukuna versus Kashimo, for Takaba, every time he failed, it was just a reminder that he just wasn't good enough. Every time he failed, he just realized I'm stumbling further and further away from my dream. Every time he failed, all he had was not the sweet release of understanding and the connection with another human being. It was the lack of that. And humans as social creatures are very, very focused on that need to connect, to express oneself. Now, notably, like I said, I mainly express myself through content creation or art or anything like that. But when you have a locked in goal, something you really want to do, you specifically try to express yourself through that. And whenever you fail to do that, it kind of hurts. Notably, where's my sketchbook? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Hold on. I'm about to wipe one out on you. Well, not in that way. But, for example, right? Your boy, fun fact, is a guy with a pencil. And I try to consistently make designs that work for specific aesthetics. If you couldn't tell, I'm trying to prep for 2024. So I'm trying to get all my updated designs out so I can work on them. But for every single successful design, those aren't completed anywhere near, so they're going to look different soon enough. I have things like this. I messed up the angle on that one face. That page is now useless to me. Even if I erase it, it shall be forever marred. Heck, I think it happens for the next couple pages. Another case. I had an idea, yet I could not execute it. Another case. Though admittedly, this one, I'm gonna see if I can do some work with this one. Though I kind of don't like it. Like, there are moments where I feel like I cannot express. At first, I really like this one, but now I don't like it. This drawing of Sukuna, I don't know, something that looks weird. I think it's the flipped angle. I just really don't like the way this looks now. But with that being the case, there are different moments where through my expression of myself, through my expression of art, it hurts whenever I mess up. In a different scale to something of my content creation where it's like, the only metric I have to compare with myself. It's true. The only metric I have to compare artistically to is myself. And I know I can do better. I know that when I fumbled. I couldn't do any better. Something like content creation is similar to that. I know I could do better. I know I could work more, do more stuff, and I try to do more. But that sort of negativity doesn't necessarily weigh on me because I want to make this my full-time job and I'm working towards that. But there's still other things I can do. The reason this chapter 241 is so good to me, from just the raws alone, once again, I can't read none of that. It's because Takaba is having this internal, soon to be made external crisis of consciousness. Like, the man has spent years upon years upon years. Let me double check. How old is Takaba? Do we know that? Let me see if we know how old that boy is. I think we don't. I think he's like 30. I don't know. I'm trying to see. Is that man 30? 35. 35. And he wanted to be a comedian ever since he was a kid. Let's say kid Takaba that we see in this chapter is like 10. 25 years of trying and failing to be funny. You know, this has gotta hurt. 25 years of failure. 25 years of a failed dream. 25 years of suffering due to a lack of ability to connect through humans. To other humans. By other humans. Through your preferred medium of connection. That's gotta be awful. That's gotta be terrible. But what I love about this chapter is that it does show us Takaba's despair. It does show us the fact that Kenjaku has had an impact on him. It shows that Takaba, through all of his failure, through all the negativity that comes with that failure, through all the pain, the agony, the suffering, the malice, the darkness, he realized in the end that his dream is still alive. Despite however many years of failure. Whether you think he was 10, so it's only 25, or whether you think he's wanted to be a comedian since 5, so it's been 30 years of failure. No matter what, his dream is still alive. And ultimately, now that he has a way to connect, now that he has understood the way of connection through comedy, through the help of Kenjaku, and once again, a crisis of conscience with his internal self, he now has not necessarily an awakening. I was joking over on my TikTok channel, that guy on the TikTok, about how Takaba could have an honored one moment and go like absolutely insane in a similar vein to Satoru Gojo back against Toji Fushiguro. But this essentially is Takaba's honored one moment, an awakening, an understanding that no, by saying that, I'll try to make everyone else laugh but you because your humor doesn't line up with my humor. No, it's the determination to make anybody laugh. No matter what. The determination to push forward regardless. The will to reconnect. Everything always ends up being a Kingdom Hearts reference. Everything. I swear, I'm going to find out on the Kingdom Hearts reference one day. gonna go to my parents and they'll be like, Tetsuya Nomura told us to make it. But legitimately, that's how it is. Takaba's desire to reconnect, to interact, the fuel for his dream is reborn through his conflict with Kenjaku, reborn through the reflection on his past and the development of himself. And I like that. And I like how at the end, the little translation I do have mentions that what gets written on Kenjaku's face when Takaba's technique reactivates is waku waku, or excitement, from my understanding of it. That literally only comes from all the Anya memes from Spy Family. That's literally all I got that from. But legitimately, I like that. I like how this chapter focuses on that interpersonal struggle. The struggle of a man versus the world trying to figure out how he can connect with other people through his own self-expression, yet struggling with that self-expression as no one wants to connect with him. And I like how Takaba, through all of it, is really, it sounds so weird saying Takaba is a symbol to us all, but in a way he really is. Broski is a symbol to us all. Because no matter what, no matter how many failures, no matter how dark the world seems to be, it is Takaba Fumihiko who has sat down, locked in, and declared beyond a shadow of a doubt that no, Kenjaku, I will not let this slide. I'm not going to change my standards, change my ways. I'm going to stick to my dream 100%. And I'm going to make you laugh that stupid little brain right on off. Beautiful character work. And it's such a, here's the thing, right? I don't want to say the more basic side of me, the one that's like, I want to see crazy stuff, is like, this chapter's not that much, right? Because it really is entirely a flashback chapter. I think only the last 2 or so pages are even in the modern day. I guess you can include like Takaba talking to his young self as a modern day thing. That's it. Not much really happens in this chapter in terms of like plot progression other than Takaba. Realistically, this video could have been Takaba got his curse technique back. That'd be it. Like, I just cut it right there. But I really do like the character exploration. I can kind of relate to it. Though admittedly, the way that I relate is different from the way Takaba went through and the way that a lot of other people went through. But I feel like Takaba is a very relatable character and the struggle of connection with other people. And my thing is that I do feel bad for everyone who's not getting what they want, right? I do understand why people, I already seen it. This chapter's trash, nothing but endless yapping. It's like pencils talking nonstop, just endless yapping, domain expansion, unlimited yapping. And I get it, but we do need a cooldown. And if we're gonna get a cooldown, I'm glad that it's this. I'm glad that it's the character work. I'm glad it's the establishment. It does kind of hurt my soul a little bit that Takaba will have a more extended and more major fight with a major or possibly the final villain than Kashimo did. That's gonna haunt me to the end of my days. But like, in terms of actually the contents of the chapter and what is happening in it, I appreciate it. I don't know. And once again, I gotta thank y'all for that. Some people are agreeing with me, and I do still identify with those emotions that I had last week when I was talking about it. But maybe I've just grown soft. Maybe I've just grown soft, but I do like character work. That is my favorite thing. I mentioned this before, but my favorite things in a story, it goes character, then art. Well, it depends on the medium. Obviously, I'm reading a book, like a plain book, it's not going to be art. But then it's character and then story. There are 2 separate tiers to the bad boy. So as long as your story has amazing characters, the plot can be kind of whatever. Vice versa is fine too. I do love a really, really good story with characters, but usually you can kind of have one without the other. I look at that like Seven Deadly Sins, but that's, once again, I need to do a retrospective on that series and really think about my thoughts on Seven Deadly Sins. You could have a story which, in my opinion, has great characters and kind of plot, but usually when you have like a great plot, usually the characters have to be great too. That's like, it's like how a square can be a rectangle, but a rectangle can't be a square. That's kind of the plot story relationship right then and there. But overall, those are my thoughts on chapter 241. Please tell me what you guys think about the chapter in the comment section down below. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And make sure you hit that little notification bell so you not miss out on the fact that there's a password. Ha! Got you. When I made y'all already clicked off. Leave the awakened comedian in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching once again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is That Guy with the Pencil, writing off. I want to give a thank you to our $3 members, Recliner Plays and Redwolf4765. I'd like to give another very big thank you to our $5 patrons, Winter, Victor, Sean, Midnight Gem Lord, Kevin, and Demix LND. I'd like to give another hefty thank you to our $10 patrons, Robbie Uchiha, Joaquin, and Idem Okami. And I'd like to give a fat, hefty, scrumdiddlyumptious, juicy thank you to our $25 patrons, Igneal and Calvin Elder. And one final absolute thank you to our $25 member, Alex Ice Rose.